Good morning. We're going to continue in verse 1 of 1 Peter 4. Since therefore Christ suffered in the flesh, arm yourselves with the same way of thinking, the same anoia that we talked about yesterday. For whoever has suffered in the flesh, so suffering in your body, has ceased from sin. How does that work? Verse 2, so as to live the rest of the time in the flesh, no longer for human passions, but for the will of God. This is a powerful text. Here's the point. God does something in your body when you suffer, and he does it because he reaches into your passions, meaning he reaches into your soul. Your passions are born. They can be ingrained in your body, but the first location of your passions or your desires is your soul. So God uses the sufferings of your body to touch on your soul and to refine your inner life. This verse has meant a lot to me in part because it was ministered to me by our late director of counseling, Jerry Mead, who was such a dear friend who I love so much. And Jerry had gone through some real suffering in his life. And there were parts of suffering that he had gone through that paralleled my own. And I'll never forget him reading verse 1 and 2 to me in my office one day and saying, you know, I think you've done about all you can do in this situation. And you've tried to bring truth to bear and bring correction and so forth. And at this point, all you can do is suffer quietly. Suffer quietly. I'll never forget that phrase. What is there to be gained in suffering quietly? Well, I enter into the sufferings of Christ. I learn moral discernment, as we talked about yesterday. And I learn to purge my own life. Mark Buchanan, one of my favorite authors, talks about how winter is a season for pruning. Sometimes God takes you into difficult circumstances so that he can prune what needs to be pruned off of the vine. He can take away what needs to be taken away so you can cease sin that otherwise would not surface, so that in this life you can now live for the Lord in a greater way. So in that way, suffering in the crucible of it is a great fire that reforms, cleanses, purges. It is a season wherein God prunes you. So let him prune you and suffer quietly and let God have his perfect work in your life. May the Lord encourage you in the midst of what might be a difficult season for you.